over here.
Ms. Moody.
You know, they made a huge mistake. They put the most junior member in charge of the gavel. Such a mistake. Thank you very much, and appreciate all of you being here today and taking the time to talk about one of the most important issues, I think, facing Americans right now, and that is the skyrocketing premiums that we are seeing for all Americans. Certainly, we're talking about a limited scope in terms of the Democratic-pushed structure of subsidies that have been enacted over the last few years, but we're really talking about skyrocketing premiums for all Americans, because I firmly believe that the misguided, ill-informed, reckless decisions on some of these things and the allowed fraud among it, that just taxpayer money that we're just lighting on fire in many instances and giving to bad actors and not going to healthcare, has caused this rapid increase in all healthcare premiums for all Americans. And so I appreciate your time being here today, because I think the best way to govern is to roll up our sleeves, talk about the facts, figure out how we got here and how can we fix things. I come from the state of Florida. I'm really proud of that, the way we govern and lead there. So many of what we've done is because we're willing to put in the hard work, and our answer isn't gutturally all the time, just throw more money at a situation and cross our fingers and make a prayer and hope a problem goes away. It's how do we unravel where things might have gone wrong, or put in safeguards to make sure we can save money and operate more efficiently. And so I was really excited to be here as the newest United States Senator to bring some of that approach and perspective to DC. And this is one of the main things that I don't think people can wrap their heads around. Like, how did we get here? In fact, in Florida, I want to just point out, we are now ground zero for fraud in some of this money that has been pushed out there. And again, I think we should always go back and say taxpayer money. That I think is in many instances, because we have a system now built with virtually no safeguards where fraud prevention is an afterthought, we are wasting taxpayer money when it could be going directly to healthcare. And so in Florida, I told you we're ground zero for this fraud. We had a great, now a congressman, a former CFO, who opened 900 investigations into subsidy fraud. He said there was less verification for getting some of those COVID subsidies than there was for signing up for Uber. And the examples are staggering. You know, we had a federal grand jury in West Palm Beach convicted 2 people for $233 million in Obamacare fraud, a scheme that signed up homeless and drug addicts for these subsidies, and then those people got huge kickbacks. There was a conviction in April where a man was defrauded the government, and when I say the government, the taxpayers, for over $130 million by fabricating documents for ineligible people to get them signed up for $0 plans. And it's this example of, you know, I hear time and time again that, well, let's just keep doing everything the way we've been doing it. That is not responsible. We're not living up to what we've committed to the people who sent us here to do. Yes, let's address skyrocketing premiums. Let's talk about what is the best place. How do we get to making sure that we have health care and people can afford health care in this country? But what we're doing isn't working. In fact, the opposite. What we're doing right now is causing these skyrocketing premiums, causing it. And so when I hear, let's just keep doing everything the same, I'm thinking to myself, is it just me? I mean, is it just because I'm new here? That's insane. That is not what we signed up to do as leaders coming to Washington and saying, we're here to help the American people. Let's dig in, roll up our sleeves. Let's do it the Florida way and get to the reason why these skyrocketing costs are going up, and not this guttural reaction of let's just keep throwing money to bad actors that are taking advantage of this government and taxpayers and even people that are seeking health care. Legitimately vulnerable people they're being taken advantage of. So I'd like to ask you, Mr. White, why is it that we're seeing so much fraud in these subsidies? Do $0 premiums incentivize fraud, and who benefits the most from such fraud?
Yeah, I think there's 4 things that happened. So in Obamacare, we made the plans 50% more expensive on day 1. And then we said, the only place you can use your subsidy is on those expensive plans. And then we said, we're going to send the subsidy to the insurance company, not the person. So the person was disintermediated. And then under the enhanced subsidies, we said there'd be $0 premiums. Once you set the premium to $0, that's when fraud took off. CMS says that 35% of people on the exchanges had 0 claims on their plans once those subsidies were in place. So it just encouraged the fraudsters, because someone's getting signed up for a plan, they don't even know they're being signed up for a plan. That's 6 million people on the exchanges this year. That's fraud. So there are tools that we can use to prevent that fraud, but the biggest thing that kicked off that fraud event was the $0 premium. So just charge the state's minimum wage per month. Do something reasonable to get a financial incentive in place to say, oh yes, I'm actually enrolled in this plan. I get a notice on my phone, just like I do with any credit card when something happens financially to me, to say, yeah, I'm actually enrolled in this plan. I actually can use this benefit, or I never signed up for this. What the heck's going on here? So we can stop that fraud. 6 million people with these subsidies on the table is billions of dollars in fraud lost every year.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you for holding this hearing.